What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes
What's up? What's up?
and Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on? So Chris was unable to make it today, but look for him next week. Thank you for tuning in. If you are one of our longtime followers, nothing has changed. So Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP. I don't really have one for this week, so it might be a throwback. Or then Fridays, everything else, so movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But if you're listening to us on 91 FM in the Atlanta metro area, then you get everything all at one time. So that's the difference. And then channel 10 in the DC Fairfax community, we should be popping up relatively soon. So please keep an eye out for us. But those will be mostly interviews for the first quarter anyway, and then we'll start to mix the show in. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from Politico.com. All right, and it's written by John Sacalari, Otis and Maggie Miller. I'm sorry, John.
You did better than me.
Butchered your name. Yeah. But the title of this one is "Here's Who Could Fill Top Cyber Policy Roles for Trump." So for those of you that have been under a rock, Trump has been reelected, right? So he's got to start getting that staff together, right? So cyber policy roles, that's what we talk about all the time here, right? That's what we're here for, right? So even though it's a little early, he's not going to get inaugurated until January. Got some time, but they did a little list here of who they heard the top dogs were that could be going back into these positions, right? So a lot of them are from, former Trump, not employees, but people that have worked under him in the previous administration, right? Which ended back in January 2021. But when they start going through some of the bona fides for these people, I'm like, okay, well, these people, they look like they have the experience. Like when they talk about where they're at and what they've done. There's one on here that started a company 4 years ago that may be a little hesitant to leave that, you know what I mean? But they have a list here, right? They talk about Sean Planky, right? He's the former senior NSC and Energy Department official. He could be a top of CISA or the DOE's Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response, which is where he previously worked, right? So it's not like it would be somebody new that needs to learn the ropes. It's like, hey, the ropes were pretty much what they were 4 years ago. We hope. We'll see. Karen Evans. She's the Homeland Security Department's former CIO and the only ever Senate-confirmed Assistant Secretary of CSER, where she was Planky's boss, the first one, Sean Planky. She was his boss. Joshua Steinman, top cyber policy post in the NSC is Steinman's, if he wants it, they say on here, right? He spent 4 years at the Trump NSC during the first term, right? So this is what I was talking about. It's some people that had some play in what was in there before, right? Katie Arrington, former Chief Information Security Officer for the Pentagon's Office of Acquisition and Sustainment, under the first Trump term, again, right here it is, bringing people back, right? Bob Strayer, he previously served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Cyber at the State Department under the Trump administration. So again, another one. Matt Hayden, former Assistant Secretary for Cyber, Infrastructure, Risk, and Resiliency Policy at DHS, Department of Homeland Security, right? Lucien Niemeyer, former senior Pentagon official, is rumored to be interested in helming CISA, right? So again, there's a list here, right? They got some bona fides. When you look at the people, it's like, okay, well, there's some decent stuff on here, right? And even with the people that they have, they have experience, right? So despite what you may think, about the previous term or anything like that, like a lot of roadway has been made and a lot of headway has been made. Excuse me, not roadway. Headway has been made in dealing with cybersecurity under the current administration, right? And we just hope that it continues with the people that we have here, right? Like they know the dangers that are out there. They've seen them, right? Even if they're not paying attention as close as they need to, like we're putting stuff out there to where this is common knowledge that cybersecurity is a really big thing when it comes to what's going on. Daniel, what's your thoughts?
I think, as talking heads, we kind of like to jump the gun a lot. And this kind of falls in that category. I think it's a little bit too soon, but I don't think too soon the importance of this topic. Historically, cybersecurity and IT security is a very important playing field. I think never in the history of the world, cybersecurity right now, the importance of what's coming and being prepared and what's going to come ahead as planning to prepare for those actions over the next 5 years. I mean, I can't stress it enough. I don't want to be a doomsday sayer, but this is a very important time in the history of the world and in the U.S. Now, however, with that being said, there are some names on here that I strongly Kitty Arrington being the person specific, right? If that person is the person that gets elected, I will lose my head. I will, I'm taking crazy pills. Will seriously be shouting from the mountaintops because she fumbled the bag with CMMC so bad, and there were strong unethical and conflict of interest things that came out of that are still unfolding to the point where she had to, I don't know if she had to step down or they stepped her down. I can't remember correctly. Forgive me if I'm getting the story incorrectly in some parts, but her name being even thrown out there as a potential worries me a lot. And I say this going back to what I said before. Whoever this person that's going to be working for Trump, it can't be understated the importance of their responsibility to make sure they can get in the president's ear to direct him in the right direction. And we already know in future articles that we'll be talking about this week, his stance and what they're looking at is actually going the opposite direction, which really worries me. Now is not the time to cut funding or governance or planning in the direction of cybersecurity, even less so in critical infrastructure, power systems, or AI. And I really feel like that's a stance he's going to take going backwards. And I don't think the US can really afford to go that direction. I don't know, Ryan, I'm always a doomsday sayer in our group, but do you think I'm like getting too ahead of myself even in this topic?
So hold on. Before you go, Ryan. Like Daniel, I'm telling you, man. First Warren Buffett, and now this. Like, I feel like what was Don Cheadle's name in Ocean's 11 when he was doing the robbery job, and he's like, "You're gonna get us all nicked." Like that's what I feel like right now. You're gonna get us all pinched. But go
I'm
ahead,
just,
Ryan.
I'm looking out for the US. That's all. I'm just looking. You tell me, Ryan.
Look,
Am I going
you're looking
crazy?
out for America. So I don't have that experience when she was in the seat. I was still active duty, I believe. Yeah, I would still be active duty during that time, right? When CMC was starting to develop and rear its head. So I don't know. All I know is that I'm really hoping that when what is he, 47 now? Would he be president 47? He's 45, now he's 47, right? So I just hope that when he enters that he has a very good plan for who is going to go in. Because my fear is that no one on this list gets picked, and he just throws a curveball, and it's just some rando. So that's my fear, because then that person has to learn and grow and find the right people and disrupt. So I just hope that there's a plan in place. And just keep Easterly. I know it's not going to happen, probably. Well, maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, it could. That could be the curveball. You'd be like, "No, I'm just going to leave the person who's in there." But I doubt it. I think it's just going to be a full reset, right? I think she's been doing such a great job. So
Yeah.
that's my whole thing, is the disruption, or pick the person who's already vetted for the seat, right? Like, as opposed to just a rando. Like, hey, this is Phil. Phil said he knows something about cybersecurity,
Hopefully
and
it's not
now Phil takes
somebody,
over
yeah, one of his,
SZA, right?
yeah, one of his friends of somebody that has a company with the name X in it. One of his buddies comes in and just sits down and it just,
You're gonna start. So Warren Buffett, Donald Trump, and now Elon Musk. You just
I
creating a
like you.
list. Creating a
I like
list of people.
Elon, but hopefully
Yeah.
it's not somebody that's an endorsing of his, and then they try to get somebody, moved into that position. I hope it's a really good vetted person that can bring things to the table because right now, U.S. isn't fragile, but we've always been very, very strong in the cybersecurity front, and we've shown that. We've shown our chops. We're industry leading. Our agencies are industry leading, and I would hate to see us for the first time in the history of America kind of go the opposite direction and the Iraq, Russia, China to the world, kind of really starting to step on our turf in terms of their capabilities, and us getting pushed back, especially in areas that we can't afford to lose, like energy or AI and these kind of things.
Right, right. So I think you swapped Iran with Iraq,
I don't know,
maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. I was like,
What
they're
are
friends
the
now, right?
eyes? Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. That's my fear, that we get with a curveball. It's not somebody who's vetted and things of that nature. And things have been going fairly well. I don't think SZA's done anything controversial. You know what I mean? Or any of the other uh potential positions that could be filled. I don't remember in recent, like, the only thing that everyone is kind of iffy on is TikTok, right? Like, that's been the only thing that's been really controversial. A lot of people didn't like CMMC at first, but it seems to be growing on people, right? Or at least the regulation being enforced on people is going. So my fear would be, again, a curveball gets put into the seat, and then my second would be the disruption, like CMMC does not go and be implemented, or something else does not be is not implemented. Like it's just a disruption, that churn that happens every administration. But my fear is that it's such disruption that it takes years to get back to where we were at, just like the last time. But again, it was his first time in the seat. I don't think that there was a really solid plan in place. So maybe this time around there is a better plan, but I don't want to get too political. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But at least we do know something about Katie Arrington now from your perspective. So we'll see. That's probably gonna be the pick. He's gonna Donald Trump, President 45 and 47, is listening to this podcast. All right. He's like, you know what? I don't like that guy Daniel. I'm gonna put in Katie Arrington because she'll be the best. And it's your fault. It's your fault, Daniel.
I'm sorry, America. I'm sorry. I tried to go one way and I just drove us into the dirt.
Yeah, or like you said, it could be one of Elon's picks. I honestly don't know. Again, I just wanted to be vetted. I wanted to things to not be disrupted because we're on such a good track. But as you can see, like the rest of America might not feel that way. So I don't know. I can't call it, as Shannon would say. I cannot call it. So definitely continue to tune in. We'll see what the future holds. This is my famous line. We can go back to this article and this topic once a pick has been chosen. I guess sometime in January-ish should be it, right? The day after that he's inaugurated.
All right, everybody. This article comes from cybersecuritynews.com, and it is written by, oh my gosh, Tushar Subradutta. I'm
I
sorry,
think you nailed
I'm
it.
messing these
You nailed
names.
it.
I don't know about that one. And the title of this one is North Korean hackers employing new tactic to acquire remote jobs. So we had one about this before, right? Where they were doing impersonations and how they were getting in to get these jobs and whatnot. And so what they're doing now, uh, they're doing more of targeting these remote work jobs, right? Because they're things that are in demand. Everybody wants to work remotely and do these things. So what they're doing is they're using tactics like voice phishing is what they call it. So vishing, right, with a V, to gain access to corporate networks, right? And so what they're doing is they're out there advertising, on LinkedIn, putting these fake job postings out there, getting people interested. The way I read this is holding fake interviews with them and then stealing their credentials, right? Is the way that I'm reading this, right? So these people are thinking, hey, this really good job. I'm going to interview for it. They go and they download, this software to try to to try to do this interview, keystroke loggers, all that good stuff, right? And so they get their information stolen, right? And then what ends up happening is they end up impersonating these people that they've done these fake interviews with, and then going on to these small and medium sized companies, right? And trying to get these jobs in there. So, and Ryan, you've said this before, and I'm coming more and more over to your side to where these criminals are getting so smart now. Man. Like they're
Yeah,
getting
I hate to give him credit, but
yeah.
man,
This one's good.
This is
This one's good.
really good though, right? Because it's based on real people. It's based on real people that have these qualifications. So like if you're looking up the people and you're just looking up, what their qualifications are, like it's good, right? Like you're like, oh man, this seems really, really good. Now you have to go that extra step, right? You have to go the extra step of doing verification when it comes to, their identity and things of that nature, right? Which their work locations, verifying different things that take a little bit more time, right? But in this day and age, like again, like some of these people are just hiring on as fast as they can, right? Their businesses are growing. Again, remote workers. But yeah, you got to directly verify like employment histories, things of that nature. Like this is, I don't want to say it's becoming an epidemic of this happening, but this is happening more and more often now. So I know we did an article on this before, but I've seen others where it's been the same type of thing, like same type of method being used because of what's going on. But I'm curious, like just me personally, I'm curious how long this is going to go on, because I'm seeing more and more where these companies, these larger companies, which they aren't really targeting, they're targeting more the medium and smaller size companies. They're starting to bring people back to the office more, right? So like they may be less and less inclined to go down this path and pursue this because the opportunity is not there for the remote work. But yeah, this operation, they talk about it in the article. It breached 140 devices split between the Windows OS, which was 50% of them, right? Linux and Mac platforms, right? And it's targeting developers based in India, Pakistan, Kenya, Nigeria, Spain, Russia. Like they're getting it in out there. You know what I'm saying? But Daniel, what's your thoughts on
Yeah, I'm a full circle for this one. But I would be remiss to say, for the new listeners, if you don't know, I get really tickled and I find it super humorous the names they use for these things. And we have the rare four banger on this one. We have Contagious Interview, Wage Mole, Beaver Tail, and Invisible, what is Invisible something? Invisible Ferret? Yeah, it's amazing. This was like, I gobbled it up. I was reading the article and I just couldn't stop laughing. Like, this is amazing. But this is like simple and sophisticated all wrapped in one. It's like full circle, particularly if we're looking at the countries that they're targeting. It's really smart because they're, for lack of a better word, underdeveloped countries in cybersecurity defense or maybe awareness. But they're known, especially India, for large call farms or IT farms of these natures. They're outsourcing, contracted by a lot of large companies to do these kind of things as well. So the expertise and experience is there for these kind of people. So the job posting looks good, or there's a job recruiter reaching out to them for an opportunity, especially remote, they're gonna think it's legit. And I don't know how you protect yourself against that aspect of it as the user, right? Like I'm getting reached out by a job interviewer. If everything checks out and I'm going on the interview, unless I have something like intelligence feeds hooked up to whatever I have on my local computer, you're not going to catch the stuff that's getting downloaded onto your computer, simulating the software to do the Teams call. So that's really sophisticated part of this. And then stealing that person's identity and then reusing it to go after mid-size and small job market or mom and pop shops to then funnel their cryptocurrency or funnel their stuff to your team's resources. It's honestly ingenious. I hate to like be kind of so over the moon of this, but it's a really well thought out plan. And I don't. They give some recommendations at the end of it, but it's like normal things that you would do day in and day out to protect your normal endpoint anyway. I don't think those are really going to stop these kind of attacks. So, tip my hat off to them. And I think now as a person going into the job market, these are the kind of things you need to start looking at. Or if someone reaches out to you more so with like an opportunity, almost like when you get a text message or you get a phone call from somebody, it's like, hey, I got your number. Guess who it is? Or, oh, hey, Anna, is that you? You want to play tennis this Wednesday? And you're like, I don't know, Anna. Whose number is this? Like, you kind of have to look at job, someone reaching out to you for a new job opportunity in the same lens as those text messages. Or do you think I'm too cynical, Ryan? What do you think? Am I looking at this the right way?
So hold on real quick, Ryan. So Daniel, you did what I did, right? So when I saw the recommendations, I was like, you should be doing these things anyway. And but like I think because of our background and what we do, we're like, yeah, you should be doing this stuff anyway, right? You should definitely be sandboxing this stuff or doing stuff in virtual
Yeah,
environments when it's downloadable. Like we take it for granted because we've done it for so long or
yeah,
that we know to do these things. But there are people out there, like you hope somebody that they're trying to scam for this would know better, but it's definitely not the
yeah.
case. We just can't assume.
Yeah, that's true. I do have to admit, like opening the stuff in a virtual environment, that's kind of a little bit more not as common, right? So, like, I have a job interview, the software maybe like either put it in a VM and that's connected to my network array, and I have to have that kind of set up beforehand. Or if my antivirus software has that capability to be able to execute that executable in a sandbox environment or whatever, that's a little bit more. But kind of the other stuff is kind of like every day you should know these things. 2024.
We're assuming, right? And
Yeah,
again, me and you did the same thing when we read it. We're just like, yeah, you should do that. You should do that. You should do that, right? Like it's not
and
the
now you're in the
case.
right place. You're listening to the right podcast, and I'm glad you're here. Definitely read these recommendations. And our fearless leader Ryan has even more recommendations now, and he's going to give us what his thoughts are on this.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. So at the end of the day, it's cameras on. Like people hate that. Like so like there's a certain like I'm a remote worker, right? So I've been a remote worker since I retired from the military. I love it. I can't see my life going back to the office, right? If I could help it at all. I will fight to stay remote, but with that has to come certain responsibilities, like the protection of your systems and things of that nature, right? If it's BYOD or what have you, like all of the normal stuff that a company would do to protect itself. But you as a remote worker, you're gonna have to give up some benefits, such as you gotta cut the camera on. So that means that you gotta do your hair, you gotta brush your teeth, you gotta put on a polo, At least you got to be dressed from top up, right? Um, it's going to have to be a thing where employers are going to start verifying like you are you and you are at work as inintrusive as possible, but there has to be some give or take, right, to stop this, because like we talk about people always in like we're in political season still, even though it's over. So they're coming to take our jobs. Well, they legitimately are taking our jobs in this case, whether it be North Korea or some other bad actor out there. So if you want to prevent that, then you might have to give up a few of your freedoms. My first job, so I had people know my story, right? I applied to like 51 jobs. I finally got a couple callbacks, like legitimately 2 callbacks near the end of me applying. And the one job I made it to like round 2, it was all virtual, but cameras on. Then the job that hired me, I did a virtual interview and then they flew me in. And I thought that was a bit much. I was like, man, if I don't get this job, you guys have wasted a lot of money. But from their perspective, they want to meet the person. They want to meet you in person. They want to get a feel for your body language. Are you presentable? Like, how do you react? Like, get to know you in real life. But that might be the thing to do if you're a medium-sized to large company. You might have to start flying people in just so you can get eyes on them that they're real people, right? You can only do so much in an hour-long interview to pretend to be somebody else. If you are flying in Ryan Williams from Buffalo, New York, and he shows up and he has a Baltic accent, something may be a little off, right?
But I think that's why they're targeting the medium and the small companies, because those resources aren't there to fly people in like that, right?
Right.
The resources may not be there. Let me not say they may not be there. The resources are not going to be used for them to do that extra verification.
So we have to do something like, hey, fly him in Spirit, like $300 ticket, one way. You got to find your own way back. But yeah, I don't know. Like something has to be done in order to tame or taper this. But at the same time, you are correct. A lot of bigger companies are doing the return to office, right? RTO is a big thing in larger companies. And I think that's terrible. Like I get it. Like it's a matter of you want to get eyes on people and you want to make sure they're being productive and things of that nature. But I believe you are losing a lot of productivity. At least from, again, it's my own bias. Like I work longer because I work from home. Like I'm always doing something because I'm like, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this because I'm comfortable in my own house, and I wind up working extra time, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't even charge for that. They got me on that one because I don't have a commute. I don't have to go to work and get settled and go on my lunch break, and there's gonna be small talk. Like, no, it's just me by myself, just handling work. So I believe I'm getting more done. But I mean, that's not. It might not be the majority. I could be biased, but yeah, something needs to be done in this regard, and I think it could just be vetting better in video interviews, right? Like just using common sense. Like, does this person sound, act, or react the way that someone in this area would from this part of the country, right? You have to use some common sense there. And then when you're hiring talent from offshore, then that's a little bit more iffy. Uh, but I would say if you're hiring talent from offshore because you're trying to cut costs, hey, you took a gamble and you might hit the jackpot. So that I hate to be so cold when it comes to that, but it's the logistics of getting somebody here in the States to drive up, fly up, or etc. is much easier than hiring somebody who is working for half the wage overseas, because you might wind up in this situation getting duped. So there may be not necessarily return to office, but there might be return to the continental U.S., the contiguous U.S., or what have you, to better protect yourself against false employees, I guess you would call them. But I digress. Any second what's it called when you like not piggyback? Yeah, I guess it would be piggyback. Anybody want to piggyback off that?
Go back or go backs. Any go backs
Go
for any?
backs, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
You hit it, man. Y'all hit
yep.
it.
Yeah, but
I
continue
will
to
say
tune
one
in.
thing. No
Oh, there
go
it is.
backs, but yeah, one thing I wanted to point out though, the people that are doing this, they don't get that much money from it. Like I was looking at the article, it's like 40,000 euros, but it's like a pretty sophisticated like endeavor all around just for 40,000. But you can get caught and get arrested too, or your whole operation can get shut down if you're the one outlier that gets caught. So I
Right,
think
right.
it's unusual, but I guess for them maybe it's just easy and they have like a system ready where it's just they're just rinse and repeat. And it's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's probably multiplication, right? Like, yeah, one person is 40,000, but what if you get 4 or 5?
yeah,
Then
that's true.
then it starts to definitely add up pretty fast. You gonna
Never
say,
mind, I'm
Shannon?
wrong.
And it's making it easier with AI, right? Like, so AI makes it a
Yeah.
lot easier to do some of this as well, right? And honestly, they don't think they're going to be the ones that are caught up in one of these multinational, stings
Yeah.
where the Department of Justice and the FBI goes out and finds these people. Their thinking is that you're not going to catch us. You know what I mean? Like,
But we coming.
I don't know.
U.S. is coming
Oh yeah.
with our
Well,
coalition.
well, we'll see who leads the top cybersecurity agency, right?
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah, we'll
But
see what the
you make
future
a
holds
good
on
point
that
though,
one.
Ryan. Before we cut off though, you make a good point for the video interviews though. I think a direction that the companies are gonna have to go to, or all companies, is like they're gonna have to have some kind of software that kind of verifies to see if there's any AI presence in this video call versus an actual human being. If this is becoming more popular, we've done like two or three of these stories already, and those are the ones that have come across our desk to say like these are out there, and it's going to become more commonplace in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Something's got to come up.
I think it will, like, because we talked about it in the past, like when the deepfakes started popping up, there were universities that had
Mm-hmm.
counterintelligence software that could you just tell by the reflection in the eyes, right? They're like, that's
Yep.
not a person. That's not Tom Cruise randomly calling you, right? But in this case, that's not, Ryan Williams from Buffalo, New York. That's not him.
But it's
That's
getting
the
better.
AI.
Again, it's getting better though.
It's true. It's been fun
Very good.
That
actually.
that that
Yeah.
technology is it's tenfold more than what it was a year ago, right? To where it's like, yeah, I can't. The hands aren't as weird as they used to be, right? The
The
Yeah.
hands
eyes
were
aren't
always weird.
as yeah, the eyes aren't as dead as they looked before, right? So
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll circle back to this one because it seems to only be getting worse.
Mm.
So we'll talk about ChatGPT 5 and how it is impersonating people, right? It's hey, at the end of the day, if it could do it better than a real person, maybe you should hire it. But I digress.
all right, everybody. So this article comes from federalnewsnetwork.com, written by the easiest name of the week, Justin Doubleday, right? So thank you, Justin. I didn't have to butcher your name this week like I did the other ones. I'm sorry for everybody else. But the title of this one is TSA proposes cybersecurity requirements for pipelines, railroad operators. So this is something we've come up with before, right? Like we've talked about the infrastructure of America and um, how easy it may be to get to it, right? We've done several of these articles, right? We talked about the water treatment plants, right? Colonial Pipeline was a big one, that
Mm-hmm.
we had. What was the one in Brazil with the food company? JBS?
Yeah,
Beef?
JBS.
Yep.
JBS? We
Mm.
talked about that, right? But this is kind of what this proposed rule is building on, right? It's cybersecurity requirements, for TSA type things, right? So they're talking about railroads, they're talking about airlines, and again, this year we've talked about how cybersecurity has played a big part in that, right? Where we had the issue where you know all these flights got grounded because of some issues with software and what was going on. Not exactly a ransomware attack as much as it was self-inflicted for that one.
It was CrowdStrike. Yeah. So
Was
Yeah,
it
with
CDK was
CrowdStrike?
CrowdStrike.
the yeah
Yeah.
CDK was the car dealerships, and CrowdStrike was
Yeah.
the one that took down Microsoft systems.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, it was CrowdStrike. Okay, all right. I was like, man, it wasn't CrowdStrike, but that's what struck in my mind, like CrowdStrike. And I
Mm.
was like, no, it's not it. But yeah, so like that stuff is out there, right? Like, so what they're talking about here, what they're talking about protecting here, 73 freight railroads, 34 public transportation and passenger railroads, 71 over the road bus owners and operators, and 115 pipeline facilities, and systems regulated by the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, right? So, you got to make sure you're taking care of that stuff, right? Like
Mm.
it's the same reason we take all those precautions to deal
Yeah.
with nuclear safety, right? Department of
Yep.
Energy and what they're doing there. They're talking about doing the same thing here for the TSA. So it's very much needed, very much one of the things that, um, as you look around the nation here, we do a lot of letting these private industries handle some of these things, right? Like the government is just like, okay, you take care of that for us, right? Like we're not going to
Yeah.
hire people directly into the government. So you just have to make sure these people are doing what they need to do, right? Because the risks are out there. Like if people can't drink water, like that's one of those things where that's a nice and easy. Now you got people that don't drink water at all, right? They rather drink Mountain Dew all day, but there's water in Mountain Dew, right? So even then, like you run into a problem where you
Was
don't
it
have
what
you
was
don't
the
have what you want.
idiocracy? What was it, Brondo or something
Yes,
like
it
that?
was. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Gatorade though, right? Because the electrolytes is what
Right.
they
Yeah.
Yeah,
call
it has
it. What they
electrolytes.
call it.
It's
Yeah,
what plants
right?
crave.
It's what plants eat, right? I'm like,
Oh,
but
man.
like, we'll see how soon we end up into idiocracy, because there's days where, man, it's closer and closer to being real life. But
We're already
yeah,
there.
Yeah,
yeah,
Like,
we
we're
remember,
there.
we're already there.
I don't know. As bad as the movie, I don't know about that, but we'll see. We'll see, right?
It's the
So
Crocs. The Crocs are the tail. I'm sorry to disrupt you, but
yeah, you're good.
Crocs weren't really a thing because I watched the behind the scenes because the movie is so hilarious to me.
Yeah,
Where they picked Crocs because they said the lady who picked the Crocs, since she's in charge of design and stuff like that for
yeah,
clothing, she said those are idiot shoes. They'll never take off. What do you see everywhere now?
yeah, yeah.
She predicted the future.
Look, I got some. I use them as my shower shoes when I go to the gym. So yeah, I understand it, right? Like,
Exactly.
well, let me not say they're Crocs. I got the Walmart generic joints. You know what I mean? I think they're
Okay,
like
got you, got you.
Rugged Shark or something like that, but they're Crocs. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's the name of them. Look, I know we're getting off topic. I'm sorry. But we went to Maryland for a visit. Like, my kids want to go to the pool every day. My feet were getting torn up in these pools.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need something on my
Yeah,
feet. So I went and got these cheap Walmart Rugged Sharks. I might have paid like
rugged
$12.
sharks. It
These are
sounds so
Crocs.
manly.
But yes, but yeah, we gotta make sure we're doing this right. And they mentioned all the different things that need to be protected. And again, this is history based, right? And we've seen it
Yeah.
to where all of these things have taken attacks. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
No, I think you hit a lot of good points. I only have two real notes on this one. Let me pull up my things. Uh, my first impact when I saw this was like, are we not doing this already? Are we allowing them to not self-attest, but kind of follow their own guidelines of whatever industry best practice they choose to adhere to? That's kind of scary. So, and then, I think the article says, hey, we want them to follow the NIST framework. And I think those are great recommendations, right? But for me, I think when industries tend to fall into this trap where NIST is good, it's the foundation you want to build upon. But for things like this and energy and DOE, we forget to look at, cyber analysts, red team, blue team, purple team, where we need that incorporated into these things. People are going to be able to stop a ransomware attack. People are going to be able to identify so colonial pipeline doesn't happen again. NIST, will have you build your incident response plan out. But having the people in place to be able for those things to not even happen altogether, that's where I think the real focus for these kind of industries you need to be at. And I think the government kind of hasn't caught up to that yet. The private industry, funny enough, you say CrowdStrike, Median, these kind of companies, therefore leading in those sectors, but the government still falls too heavy on like compliance side. And I'm in that boat. Like I did that for 12, 15 years. I love it. I understand it. It puts me to sleep when I can't sleep at night because the nest is very dry. But and I've only scratched the surface, and I say scratch the surface very generously in my point on the blue and red teaming stuff. I do the hack the box. I do all those kind of things. I haven't had a job where I've had to go too into the weeds, doing that day in and day out. But that is where I think the government, for protecting these industries, I think the rubber hasn't hit the road yet. Like how it's incorporated into SOC and operations on a day-to-day basis is where we may be coming up a little bit short. But yeah, those are my 2 cents. And I'm just going to point out that the article, not me, the article talks about Trump's impact and what that means. So I'm glad that I'm not the only one that's worried about that. But Ryan, what do you think?
No, I think you guys are going down a really good path in this discussion. What always blows my mind, right? So like critical infrastructure always piques my interest whenever we talk about it, not only because of its ramifications to the nation, but just how small or I don't even want to say small, but how we don't have a lot of it. Like we're not big on mass transit, right? Outside of your major hubs like New York, DC, uh, I can't even think of any like Scranton, Ohio. I don't know. Like see, the outgoing president, you always see him on the train waving, right? That's like his thing. Um, I feel like I see railroads and railways everywhere I go. However, I rarely see trains running on them, right? We don't really use like we do use our systems. They're just not as robust as I thought they were. So it's both a pro and a con in my mind, right? Like it should be easier to protect because we don't have a lot of it. We're not a Europe or a China, where we're like transit is at scale like humongous. Um, But at the same time, now it's easier to target because they don't have to breach 1,000 systems. It's only 73 in this case. To disrupt us pretty bad, where we're not getting, goods from point A to point B because we rely on them so heavily to get our freight and things of that nature across country. So it just blows my mind how small yet impactful our roadways and railroads and things of that nature are in the states, because this country is humongous, right? Like if you look at a map at scale, like to get from point A to point B, like if people who took that Oregon Trail in real life, that's ridiculous. That's why you got dysentery and cholera, right? Like that's that.
And died. And
Right, and tried to take your oxen through the river instead of going around, right? Like got swept away. But I say all that to say, like, yeah, it's very impactful, and it's not a lot of it. So like it has to be protected at all costs, or else we're going to have humongous issues, as we've talked about. Colonial Pipeline cause people to put gas in trash bags and go nuts, right? Because they're afraid of scarcity. The same thing with, in this case, it could be diapers, it could be canned foods, it could be X, Y, or Z. Like there's a lot that we rely on these systems. So here is my crazy take. Like, I think the Trump administration will continue along this path because critical infrastructure is so important, and it's very easy to see, right? So I'm going to say, like, this is common sense to go along this path. And their administration did do a lot of crucial things when it comes to that space, right? Like they might not be pro regulation, but they are pro in funding for cybersecurity, and they've shown that in the past. So I believe that to be true in this instance as well. However, here's my wild card. Here's my tinfoil hat theory. You got you got Elon on the team now, right? Like, so regardless of how you feel about Elon and what he's been talking about, and about Cybertrucks and all the other nonsense, the man has a team around him that is big into tech. So he's out here catching rockets. He's out here devising new ways to get cars from point A to point B that are self-driving. What if, by chance, perfect storm, right? Like I know it's probably not going to happen. Perfect storm. You have him on the team and you take the leash off of him, because right now he can't do drones, and he can't do fully self-driving cars. No administration in their right mind will let him do either or, because packages will inevitably fall on people and cars will run into each other on the streets at first. But him unleashed, he went from rockets falling into the ocean to now catching rockets with chopsticks. So 4 years later down the road, and now our I think some trains are already driving themselves, or whatever you call a train moving. I don't know. I don't think you call it driving. But what if our freight is now driving itself? What if Amazon and UPS and whatnot are able to deliver packages via drone because you took the regulations? Like some people are going to get hit in the head with packages. It's going to happen. So some
but
cars are going to block roadways. But four
but
years from now, what if he gets it? And we live
what
in that utopian world.
what about the derailments though? Like if it is happening to where it's happening on its own and there's no conductors on there, the
Yeah.
derailments we have up in Ohio, is that going to become a more common occurrence? First off, like even though it is
Yep.
going to happen, that stuff is going to happen first. Like the devastation from that is far reaching. The materials that are being moved are very
Right. Hazardous
toxic.
waste and things like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But
exactly.
you would think you wouldn't give those first, right? Like you would ship dog food
Yeah,
first
candy.
via self-driving vehicles, cotton
So,
candy, right?
so,
And then you
so
would move towards
yeah.
hazardous waste.
Yeah.
You would think so. But to your point, so like I have a coworker, real quick. I have a coworker whose father retired from the railway system, right? And they have a very good retirement set up for them. Like they're very good in what they get in their
Right.
benefits, right? So with the current administration, if they're supposed to be fiscal hawks, what's getting cut to make that happen, right? Like what's
Oh,
going to happen? Are some
you're
of
not
these
getting a gold
benefits?
watch. Yeah,
It's more than a gold. They
like
get more than a gold
yeah.
watch now, but like what I'm saying is that those benefits that they do get, and like the survivors benefit plan type thing that they have and everything, which we have in the military as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, does that stuff go away for you to make that happen and to invest more money into this?
Oh, absolutely. When you put billionaires in charge of the way we do business, like, because U.S. is not about business. It's actually the government is set up to protect people. Its entire purpose is to protect people, their well-being, and things of that nature, right? To provide safety nets when necessary. But you put billions in there in the charge of it, it's going to be cut at all costs. So we're going to have robots hauling freight in self-driving vehicles and drones, and all these people are going to not have jobs. However, um, we will live in the future at that point. So maybe there'll be a universal pay. People get paid to go plant gardens and trees. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, people. I'm just speculating. You potentially gonna get hit in the head with a can of beans, but eventually you're gonna get your packages same day via drone. Think about it. It's awesome. All right, you got to give something up in order to get these drone deliveries. I'm kind of for it. So I don't know. We'll see what the future holds, though. All kidding aside, we'll see the next 4 years if we do make headways in this way, or like the bromance could falter the day after the inauguration, right? Like Elon might just go right back to doing SpaceX stuff. He might not be taking any part, right? Then he'll have to fly his drones in China because he's already doing the self-driving cars and stuff like that offshore. Other countries will let him do it. The U.S. is like, nah, you're not doing that over here. So we'll see how all that works out in the very near future, because 4 years is not a long time. Like this past 4 years flew by outside of the pandemic. Yeah, right after the pandemic. So time stood still, and then boom, 4 years just flew by. So we'll see how all that works out. But without further ado, Shannon, how was your week?
Man, you know what? It was a little crazy, man. We had a little snowmageddon over here. I don't know if you guys saw in the news where Colorado,
Snowmageddon.
yeah,
So,
Colorado, yeah, Colorado declared a state of emergency and
oh
activated the
damn.
National Guard because of the snow
Oh,
we
wow.
had, right? Yeah, it was crazy. So it's wild because even though I did not work on Friday, so every other Friday I have off based on the schedule I work, right? Um, I didn't work Friday, but Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday the base was shut down, so it was a work from home day. Um, because of all the snow we got. Like we got it Wednesday, and then it would be like, okay, you shovel your driveway, you do whatever, it cleared up, and then all of a sudden the next day, add about 5 more inches on top of that. Now I realize it ain't
Wow.
Buffalo, Ryan. Ryan, I realize it ain't Buffalo. Y'all get it for
That's still
real
a lot.
up there in Buffalo. But like, and then the day after that, give us about 5 more inches. So like it was just piling up. So like I said, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the bases were closed. So, and my children didn't have school. And my daughter didn't like she couldn't go Friday because they were going to like a planetarium. You know what I mean? And she was really
Oh
looking
no.
forward
Yeah.
to it. You know what I mean? And
Hate it.
she's,
Yeah.
yeah, and this is her, yeah, but it's her first time doing something like that, right? Like she's young,
Yeah.
she's 6, right? So for her,
Right.
she's
Right.
like, oh, I
Oh.
want to go see stars and do this. So they didn't get to do it. So maybe they'll reschedule it. I don't know. They didn't put anything out in their newsletter or whatever they
Yeah.
do or
No, I
their
didn't say I hated planetariums. I love that stuff. I'm a
yeah,
nerd.
Yeah.
I was saying
yeah.
they hated on her. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's what was happening this week. Got a little bit into Madden. I've been sending you guys some videos, like some of the celebrations and whatnot. I guess because I haven't been playing it that much, like I didn't notice some of it, but some of the celebrations they do after sacks and stuff like that, I was just like, yo, this is crazy. This is wild. Like it's
Yeah.
funny, really, you know what I mean?
Mm.
But been trying to get into that. It's still a little annoying. I'm telling you, every week they do an update, and it's just like you guys are going back to the terribleness that is old
Mm.
Madden. You know what I mean? But
Because it's annualized. Like I'm telling you, the secret sauce, EA. If you're listening, I think Tiburon Studios makes Madden. Like just update the
yeah,
roster every other year. Give yourself 2 years to make a better product because you just keep recycling the same trash.
I can't wait for somebody else to get the exclusivity like removed from EA, man. Like I can't wait. The NFL is who we need to be talking to. Like stop giving it
Yeah.
to EA because it
Yep.
doesn't allow them to do better. Um, but yeah, did that. What else did I watch? I was watching some other stuff. Like my wife and I have been watching the new Scare Tactics. So Jordan Peele like is executive producing the new Scare Tactics. Have you
No,
guys
I didn't
seen
know
I
that.
this?
I
Yeah.
read
Mm-mm.
something on that, but I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. Like I don't know if you guys ever watched the old ones, but like it's different. Like they try
Is
to
that the one where
squeeze.
they they do like children of the corn and stuff like that and try to scare people? Is that
Yes.
it?
So they'll
Okay.
do it, and usually there's somebody that's in on it, like trying to scare the person, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, Scare Tactics, the new one, it's so-so. My wife and I watched it because we watched the old one, and the old one they put a little bit more time and effort into it. These are more quickly done, but some of the stuff they do is just wild, man. It's just like, oh my God. And some of these people are just not for it. Like there
I
was
was like, you'll give
one,
somebody a heart attack.
yeah, there
Yeah.
was this one, there was this one, like you see them more having to chase the people down to tell them they're on scare tactics now. Like they're not cornered in a room like they used to be.
Right.
Like people are running away. Like, they're like, hey, you don't have to run, you're on scare tactics.
I'm
That's
sorry,
how
come back.
scared these people get. Yeah, yeah. That's how scared these people are. But yeah, I've been watching that. Um, I don't know if I told you guys before. I was watching the new Matlock with Kathy Bates. I like
Oh,
Kathy
how's that?
Bates.
How's that?
It's actually not bad, man. It's not like she's man. I don't want to give away the premise for it, but like her name is Matlock, even though it's not really her name, but she references the TV show, the old TV show Matlock,
Okay.
right? But so it's not like it's a remake of the old Matlock with Andy Griffith, but
Yeah,
it
I was
is
gonna
an
say, 'cause
interesting
that was my
story.
jam. Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
jam.
Yeah.
Yo, I watch all those old detective shows. Columbo, Matlock,
Yeah.
Murder She
Columbo,
Wrote. I'm on
Murder
all
She
of it.
Wrote.
I'm on
TI.
all of that. Magnum.
Yeah.
That's all 80s stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm on all of that. But yeah, I've been watching that. But that's been pretty much it for me, right? Been working from home, um, watching more sports and whatnot. But watch my Ravens. I don't care what you say about the referees or whatever. A W is a W. Like we took that win. I don't care. You
So
know.
many, yeah. People keep showing the pictures of the face mask and whatnot. I'm like, hey, it was in the moment. That
You
people
know
didn't
what?
see.
No,
I'm
nobody.
a Cincinnati hater though, so
Yeah,
this is me.
me too. Me too. Like I say F Joe Burrow. I say it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People be like, and the history behind it, we're not gonna get into it. But like that dude, yeah, forget him. You know what I mean? But when those calls were going against us all these years, nobody had anything to say. It was just like, get through it. Now everybody's like, oh, the referees gave it to you. This, that, and the third. I'm like, man, shut up. It's a win. 7 wins. Get out of my face with that.
Please, guys, let me get the 1W. Right?
You know what I mean? Like let me have it. Like our secondary is trash. It is absolutely terrible. Like we could go out there in the secondary and perform just as well as they are. Like it's crazy.
Please.
Mhm.
But Daniel, how was your week, man?
It was good. Going back to Colorado though, definitely a lot of snow fell because my wife was like, we have a buddy that lives up there and I'd forgotten. And
Mm-hmm.
my wife's like, where is this guy living right now? And I was like, I think he's still in Denver. And she showed me the pictures. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, it's November. I remember November having that much snow
No,
in Colorado,
no.
but it was like a lot. Like a picture of his
This
dog, and his dog is like submerged.
Oh wow.
What you can see. I was like, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. My week, what did I do this week? It was good. It kind of flew by. Uh, you guys know. So my wife's pregnant, so she's like 22 weeks now. So we're getting in the whole rhythm of that. She's starting to slow down a little bit, getting a little more tired, just
Right.
helping around the house. Um, been working with my daughter, trying to like teach her the letters, the sounds of the letters. She knows her ABCs, but now she's like the phonetics, like ah
Yeah.
and r and mm. So we've been doing a little bit of that every night. Just trying to get this whole thing set up. So the guy finished my website. I have some reviews for him. I am collecting like what I want it to look like. He did a pretty good job.
Okay.
So now I went over and looked at the competition. So I kind of like looked at the people that do kind of like vlogging in Japan that are foreigners and other websites and got some kind of like ideas who
Right.
are the top people that do that kind of stuff. And I take them and send it to him, tell him how I want the pages broken out and what to
Okay.
edit. Got myself a
I'm excited for
computer.
you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. Yeah.
I'm because I'm gonna be all over that, man. Like I have not gotten over there yet. Like Japan is on my bucket list. There it is. That's the phrase. So one day I'm gonna get over there. But yeah, like I got an in who's actually making content. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
go over here. Like look, go check this out for me. Like I want to see
I,
it.
I have to admit, I got a little like imposter syndrome because I watched one of the top guys here. He's got about like 5 or 6 million followers. I think he's English, and man, his content, honestly, it's amazing. Like the videos he shoots, and his website looks really nice. It's really clean. And my wife reminded me, he's like, hey, this is for fun. This is for us, the family. If anything, we have a bunch of videos or memories of like living here and going out together and like going to see these places. And she framed it like that, and I got really excited. And I thought, I'm a foreigner living here now, and I know there's lots of things that foreigners that come over to live here go through, like trying to set up a bank account, buying a car, buying a house. That it's not
Right.
really well understood. So I thought maybe a way to differentiate the content that I do is I'll record some of those things that I do, and maybe do like a different video series. Like, I had to come up with a nice catchy name of like, lifestyle or like what it is to like open something up, but take people through that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I'm excited. I get a new desk from IKEA's Finest. I YouTube a bunch of stuff and Googled a bunch of stuff like, best IKEA desks that are DIY that
Right.
are cheap, and I found a bunch of really cool ones, and I was like, yep, that's what I'm gonna go for because it cost me like 150 bucks, and it's gonna be bigger than what I have right now. Trying to get the light set up. It's a little bit better this week. I have a buddy that he actually is a professional photographer that I work with, and he's got a pretty decent following. He's got like 15,000 followers on Instagram on his page. And I showed him
Okay.
how I have the light set up, and he's like, "Oh, it's too in your face, and it needs to be higher up." So I bought like an extension arm, and I had to buy like attachments now to get it higher. Just like learning all this stuff. That's pretty much my whole week. And then I don't know if you can see it back here. I have an old Sony. I thought was A6000, but it's actually the model before A5000, and I can't use that as a webcam.
Oh,
Yeah, so I spent the whole week trying to figure out how to use it as a webcam. Every forum was like, you're out of luck, bro. Just buy something else." Like, it's way too hard. It can't be done. You can use it to record, but you can't use it as a webcam. So now
gotcha.
I'm looking at for other cheap alternatives that I can repurpose as a webcam and then also use for vlogging and stuff like that. And just have to like take pictures with the family and stuff. So that was
Gotcha.
pretty much my whole week. Got a little bit into Apex. New season came out. I like playing Apex a lot. I'm a big like first person shooter and
Yeah.
like what type style of game is that where 100 people
Uh,
wrap in?
Battle Royale.
Yeah, man, I'm like a big battle game. So I got into that for a little bit. Playing this, I couldn't believe it. This stupid MOBA. It's essentially like League of Legends. It's a League of Legends like ripoff, and it's
Hmm.
just so easy to play at night when I don't want to like boot anything up. So I just like sit in bed and play that, and then I get my ass handed to me, and I get more frustrated. So that I have to play one more because I don't want to lose. I like go to sleep on a loss, and then like it's an hour later, and I'm like, hey, they just turned this
Right.
off. I go to sleep. So, but I mean, that's been my week. What about you, Ryan? What you been getting into?
So it's kind of a light week. So before I forget, so channel suggestion name, Dan the Man in Japan. Ah, ah.
I,
It's
I,
kind of
I,
long though. It's kind of
I,
long.
now I spelled your name from before. It's like literally my page, and I already got I bought
Oh,
the,
okay.
the
Gotcha,
domain. It's
gotcha,
going to
gotcha.
be Meanwhile in Japan. I think it's great.
Meanwhile, yeah.
And the initials are MIJ, which also stands for Made in Japan. So like, there's a lot of
Oh,
traffic already. So
okay,
yeah,
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, some synergy there. And so I'm bigger into blogs than I remember, but I only have like a handful. But there is one called Kamushi-chan. So her name is Loretta Scott. She's from the States. I've been watching her channel. It's been up for 17 years, is what I just discovered as I'm flipping through. And she does vlogging like she went from being a student and studying to one day go to Japan to now she lives there full time. She teaches, she has a business, and a husband and kid. Yeah,
it's
so
awesome.
I watched her grow all the way up. It's crazy. But yeah, like I love her channel. So yeah, you need to check her out.
Yeah, I'll
Because she
give it a
does
check out. Yeah.
yeah, she does a lot of stuff like you're kind of thinking, like a day in the life
Mm.
type
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm big into her channel. Um, so yeah, I'm excited for your upcoming
I appreciate it, man.
vlog, and then yeah, I'm gonna be all up on it.
And here
But
and here's the thing, Daniel. You're not an imposter because you are there. You are living the life.
yeah,
Like there's no reason to have imposter syndrome. You're living the
Yeah,
life.
that's true. Yeah.
right, exactly. And then aside from that, so playing the same game. So I'm playing COD on my Xbox. Uh, Great campaign. So if you have Game Pass, check it out. Like, there's no reason
Mhm.
not to check it out because you have Game Pass, right? But
Yeah.
it's a really good campaign. Like it's real big in the intrigue and espionage. It's not too over the top. But I'm in Iraq driving around because they have the section where I went from like I said I was at like a Bill Clinton fundraiser event and that went south. It's crazy. To now I'm in Iraq and you get to pick like this. That's a lot of freedom in this one. I don't know if that's new to COD or not, but I haven't played in 11 years. Um, I hop in the Jeep with my team and we go to different sites and like the overall mission is to take down all the SAMs because the
Okay.
coalition's trying to come in. Uh, but you're doing that because you want to get into Saddam's palace. You want to be the first ones in. So you're doing favors for the coalition so they don't blow the palace up right away. You can get in there and get whatever you're trying to extract from it. Real cool. Like, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I played it last night until I got too sleepy to play. I'm 40 now, so I'll fall asleep while playing video games. Um, I'm still playing Space Marine 2 on the PC. Oh, it's getting epic. So I'm planning on doing some more capture because, like, yeah, the battles are ridiculous because now they have multiple factions. Yeah,
You said his name, and I was like, geez, that game is awesome. Yeah, it looks
that's just
amazing.
fighting the aliens. Now there's people. Like, there's another faction of people that you fight. They're also in powered up suits. I'm like, oh, this is great. So I'm really enjoying that. And I didn't show you could do the death from above. Like, you get a jetpack, and then you can come down to do strikes on people.
That's pretty cool.
It's glorious. So I'm gonna get some more capture of that. And then on the side, I picked up Death Stranding because they just hit, I think, their 4-year anniversary, and they bought their IP. So Kojima Productions made Death Stranding. Kojima is the creator of Metal Gear, right?
Yeah.
So he left Konami because Konami still owns Metal Gear, but he took his talents to elsewhere, created his own studio. And so I picked up for like $20, and it is gorgeous. It's a 4-year-old game. Death Stranding, like it's nonsense because he's off the leash. Like, none of it makes sense. He has all these actors, right? He has Guillermo del Toro is in there, but not his voice, just his likeness.
The second
Norman
one?
Reedus. Yeah, I'm playing the first one. Norman Reedus is the main character. All the like, it's a beautiful looking game. All the people look like real people. They are talking gibberish and nonsense. Like, none of the story makes sense. So, but I'm having fun with it. So I got it for the PC, $20, and it's running at like 130 frames per second. This is an old game, right?
Yeah.
But and it looks amazing. So I highly recommend to wait till it goes on sale because, again, I don't know if I'm going to finish it because I'm not feeling the story at all. But the visuals, it's breathtaking. I'm just like, yo, this is amazing. And I'm about to start Arcane. So remember, I talked about Arcane a few years back. It was that animated series on Netflix, Shannon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the last season's up. So it's only, I guess last season's only season 2, but it actually says last. Yeah. So this is it. They're gonna wrap it up. And it's getting like 9s and 10s on reviews. So I'm like, because the first season was off the chain. So if this one is better, then I'm definitely down for it. So I'm gonna start that one up tonight. And then just watch my Bills play. So the Bills play the Colts today at 1:00 Eastern. So I'm hoping we smash them real quick. We'll see. We've been playing really well, but I can't remember the last time you played the Colts. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there's different dynamics. You play people in your division, you have a rhythm. When you play like randos, it can go either way. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm hoping for good things. And aside from that, just trying to chill. I got a bunch of work stuff I need to do, both my 9 to 5 and my my own company, right? So I'm going after Daniel's lead. I'm letting him do the whole thing with the getting somebody to build your website, and then I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna pick his brain and go from there because I definitely need to get the website up because we're getting hit for like more clients, but I don't have anywhere to point them. So it's like it's more work when you have to keep describing what you do as opposed to having a website that just automatically showcases what you do. So I need to hurry up and get that rolling. So I'm gonna hit you up for that information. And yeah, just looking to see how the radio stuff goes, how the TV stuff is gonna kick off pretty soon. They're making some promos, so I'll definitely share that with you guys once that's up and running.
Cool.
And just seeing how the channel grows from there, right? Like, we'll have more visibility, more eyes on us. So if I wasn't busy before, I'm busy now. That's pretty much it. Like, I'm super excited to see what the future holds for us, and yeah, just keep making content, and then hopefully everybody just keeps listening. But that's my week in a nutshell. So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. So again, our cadence is Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. It slows down during the holidays, so I have one coming up. I'm going to record, and I'll probably put out the week after it's recorded. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about in the upcoming future because things will slow down, hopefully, and we'll get to spend more time with our family and discuss that. So definitely tune in for all that good stuff. Hit up all the websites that go by our name. See either the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP. Hit me up. Personally, I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on pretty much all the platforms, but LinkedIn is where I'm the most active. And you, Daniel, where can they find you?
They can find me under my name on LinkedIn, Daniel Acevedo, and soon to come, meanwhile in Japan, website will be launching, so look out for that.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.